Hello, my name is Angie Verdell, and I'm your guest host for today's episode of Momentum. Really glad to have with us today a special guest. His name is Warren Wilson Jr., and Warren is here to share with us a little bit about, some of his background in engineering, his time spent here at Mississippi State University in the Bagley College of Engineering, and a little bit about some of his entrepreneurial experiences. So, Warren, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on today.
Good deal. Look, we thank you so much for taking your lunch break and talking to us today. So we appreciate that tremendously. So I'm just going to jump right into this because, we have a lot to talk about, and I want to give you enough time to be able to share. You carry, right now, 3 titles: engineer, author, and artist. But before we get into all of that, tell us a little bit about your experience here at State as an undergraduate student.
So yeah, my experience at Mississippi State was just very rewarding. It was so much fun from freshman year, spending hours every day at the Sanderson, playing basketball, working out, to walking across the campus, eating Chick-fil-A every day. Just those things we enjoy as a freshman. But it was great. I got to meet a diverse group of people. I got to meet people from all across the country that I probably would have never met, just staying in my hometown. Starkville really just became a second home. And I don't know, everybody on the campus was always so welcoming. Everybody always, spoke to each other. It was so nice. And, it's just very cohesive. I really enjoyed my tenure at Mississippi State. And with engineering, Bagley College of Engineering, you have so much help. You just have to ask for it. And I remember my freshman year, I wasn't so big on asking for help, but, as I transitioned to my sophomore and junior year, I learned to join study groups and, reach out and, get help and, actually go talk to the TA after class instead of just being confused,
Right. That's sage advice, and it never goes out of style. It is always, appropriate to seek help early and seek help often. And in a Bagley College of Engineering, we have, a plethora of resources available to our students. So that's good. It sounds like you had, a really good undergraduate experience throughout your matriculation as an electrical engineering student. So you graduated in 2016. So what have you been up to from an engineering perspective since then?
So I kind of bounced around after graduation. Took my first job in Alabama, in Montgomery. Stayed there for about a year. I worked at the Hyundai manufacturing plant there as a quality engineer. Left there after about a year, moved back home, and I actually took an internship after my first, salary job. But it was with research and development for a company in Brandon, Mississippi, where I was learning basically how to design, using CAD, cookware, things like that. And then I ended up moving to Memphis after that. Took a job at Mitsubishi Electric, where we make power transformers. Yeah. And then after leaving there, I now work at Elos MedTech, where it's a biomedical company. So we make surgical drills. If you have ankle surgery, knee replacement, we make the drill bits that the surgeons would use, during surgery to make those incisions or whatnot.
Right.
And in 2019, once I moved to Memphis, I suffered an Achilles injury, unfortunately, and that's what kind of, I guess, re-sparked up my creativity. I go with extra time to, just paint and get back into art, and I kind of finally went ahead and jumped off the cliff, I guess, with writing a book and actually, trusting that I had something positive to write about. And
right.
I don't know, I haven't looked back since.
Okay, so your electrical engineering degree allowed you to actually be a part of several industries, and it was helpful and applicable. So that is a testament to show, engineering discipline can lead you to many different places. So now I'm going to transition away from your engineering experience, and you kind of, led into it a little bit about how you came to the point to write a book. So now we're talking about part 2, the author, Warren, the author.
Right. And so I can say that engineering also helped with being an author because senior year we had to take a class called technical writing.
Yes.
And with technical writing, you just you learn how to like write a business plan. You learn how to take a complicated process or some either scientific phenomenon or some type of engineering principle, and you would have to break it down so that a fifth grader or anybody could pick it up
right.
and read and understand what it is you were trying to convey.
Right.
So yeah, technical writing was, oh my God, it was it was tedious at times when I was in the course, but it truly paid off. I mean, it made me a better explainer. It helped me kind of break down complicated things in a more elaborate way, more simplistic way where anybody can kind of catch on to it just about any age. And yeah, I've just been reaping so many benefits from that. I can't even begin to say how many I have. And I don't know, engineering is just kind of, I've always had a kind of a creative mind, but coming to Mississippi State and taking up electrical engineering and seeing people design things, using software, taking their ideas and making them become an actual diagram,
right.
or making them actually become a product. It's kind of, I guess, smoothed out a lot of the rough edges that I had before I came to state, and I guess took me to another level I never thought I could reach.
So I'm hearing from you that technical writing has played a role in you being able to write a children's book, because you talk about how technical writing has given you the ability to be able to break things down and explain it in a way that even the layperson can understand. So not only did you become an author, but you became an author of a children's book, and one of the pieces that you've written is called Brown Money. Now, I've heard of green money, but I've not heard of brown money. Can you talk to us a little bit about the title of your book and what the book is entailing?
So yeah, brown money, it's a mixture of different topics such as STEM-related careers. I'm introducing kids to engineering, to science, to vocational skills. To kind of speak about college, and I also speak about financial literacy. Just a small introduction to that. And I named the book Brown Money because a lot of the things that I brought up in the book, me being an African American, a lot of those things I didn't learn growing up. So I wanted to be able to put those things in a book, to be able to get back to African American youth and kind of put them on game about certain things or avenues that they could take, and just let them know they had options, and letting them just hopefully see a positive image when they pick up that book.
Right. That's good. Because we do know, as engineers and being out in the community and trying to do good community service and give back, being able to shed light to the next generation is always important. Whether it's talking about STEM or whether it's talking about entrepreneurial pursuits, that's always important. So you've written this book. How many other pieces have you written in addition to Brown Money?
So I actually finished Brown Money 2. I haven't released it yet. Just been kind of, getting the marketing kind of ready. I guess I kind of start that up next month. I have another book called Royal Counsel that I wrote a few weeks after Brown Money. It's like an inspirational story, just kind of like quotes and different pieces of advice my mom gave me growing up and my grandmother gave me growing up. And I also have another book that I'm working on. It's called 5 Simple Rules. It's still in the works. I'm about halfway through it. And then I also plan on adding a workbook with Brown Money that is also in the works, because I want to be able to supply like an interactive, workbook for, kids or students to be able to kind of practice on the things that I speak about in Brown Money. So
you said that there's a piece that you've written about 5 simple rules. Can you give us at least one of the simple rules? Can you share that with us?
One of those rules was, let me try to think of one of the rules. One of the rules was basically that action kills worry. So I'll elaborate on that. So a lot of times when we're worried about something's really bothering us, usually it's just once we actually like take some action or actually kind of move towards, progress in that area or take care of that problem, usually that worry starts to, and I've just learned that like times, that action kills worry. If you take the quicker you take action, the less you have time to worry about it, and it kind of puts you more at ease once you're actually making progress or, starting to kind of, just take care of something that's either bothering you or something that you really want to do,
right,
or some of the shit that you want to read.
Right, and it seems to me that those 5 things to remember probably played a significant role in your time spent here at Mississippi State in engineering, I would think.
Oh, definitely, because I came from a small city, Jackson, Mississippi, so I was kind of used to having more help. The classrooms smaller in high school, 20 or 30 kids. My high school was like 300, I think 50 kids total. Not grades. So when I come to Mississippi State and I'm taking classes in like stadium rooms and things like that, you had to get more creative with how you were going to learn. You may not be able to just ask for help right off. You might have to talk to the TA, or you may have to go to the professor's office after class. But you just have to show a little more effort, and you have to get a little more creative with, and also YouTube. YouTube was also a great help, as far as, being able to have those,
right,
video over and over and just get that practice in. But, definitely in college, college you have to really get creative with learning how to, teach yourself, how to learn effectively.
Well, I will tell you, I can't wait to get my hands on a copy of Brown Money. Can you tell us how we can find your book and your other works?
Yeah, so you can find Brown Money at Amazon.com. You can just search for Warren Wilson Brown Money, or I have a link to it as well on my website at www.warrenwilson.com, and that's www.warrenwilson.com.
Well, look, Warren, it's been great talking to you. I'm really happy that we had a chance to meet. Again, thank you for taking your lunch break and spending it with us. We wish you all the best in the future as you continue your efforts as being an entrepreneur, being an artist, being an author, and certainly being an engineer. So take care until next time, and we hope to talk to you again soon.